This tutorial here is for the football field, and I'm going to go over a couple things on how I would do the football field. The first thing I want to do is go ahead and look at this. The key to the football field is that we are drawing this in the scale of 1 inch equals 40 feet. And this is how we're getting a life-size football field to fit on an 8.5 by 11 inch paper, is to scale it down. So the hint that I wrote on here is to make them the same units. So 1 inch equals how many inches. So you basically need to figure out 40 feet is how many inches. Obviously there's 12 inches in a foot, so if you multiply 40 feet times 12, you will figure out how many inches 40 feet is. And 40 times 12 is 480. So what you need to know is that 1 inch equals 480 inches. So we're going to draw this in full size. In CAD, you always draw in full size. And then we're going to scale down the football field. Again, if you just watched the checkerboard one, another way you could do this is to scale up the title block, but I prefer to scale down the drawing. So I'm going to draw this in full scale, and then I'm going to scale it down by 1 over 480. So let's go ahead and do that. So here's my regular title block. The very first thing I need to do is change the units. I type in units, and you definitely do not want to use decimal. You have two options. You can either use architectural or engineering. I would probably go with, and the reason why you want to use either one of these is because they both use feet and inches. So I'm going to go ahead and go with architectural. The nearest 16th of an inch is fine, and then I'm going to go ahead and keep this on inches as well. Click apply, click OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw a line that is 360 feet long, which is the length of my football field. So I type in 360. But if I were to hit enter right now, it would put in a line that is 360 inches. So if I want to put in a line that's 360 feet, I have to put the apostrophe, which is known as the foot marker. So if you look at the bottom of my screen, you'll see it says 360 with an apostrophe behind it. That would be 360 feet. And I hit enter. And now when I hit escape, when I double click the wheel on my mouse, you're going to notice that my title block becomes super small because this line becomes giant. Because that line right there is 360 feet long, and remember my title block over here is only 10.5 inches wide. Okay, so if you want to check the size of this, you can go ahead and go to dimensions, and we'll dimension from this end to that end. And the problem is you can't see what your dimension is. If I can zoom in here close enough, we could probably make it out one way or another. Let's see if I can find it here. And it looks like it's almost too difficult to find, but I'm going to show you how to fix that. So what you need to do is you need to go to the dimension style, which is up here on your styles toolbar, dimension style right there, and we're going to make two changes. The first change is we're going to go to linear dimension. We're going to click on the plus sign, and we're going to change this from decimal just like we did when we changed our units. And we're going to change it to architectural. That's the first step that we're going to change. And that's really all that we need to do under linear dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. The second step that we need to do is click on fit and then dimension scale. And the scale factor is 1. And since I am scaling this up, I need to scale my dimension style up so I would actually be able to see it. And since the scale factor is 1 over 480, I need to make my dimensions 480 times bigger. So I'm going to change my scale factor from 1 to 480. And that's going to make the text so I can actually see it. And that's the problem with this text up here, is that it's on a scale of 1, so you can't see it when the line is so big. So when I change it to 480, hopefully I'll be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply and click OK. And you can see now you can clearly see 360 feet very easily. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish drawing the rest of this. And it looks like it's 360 feet by 160 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line down 160 feet and then over 360 feet, and then go ahead and snap it back right there. And I want to zoom in and make sure my title block is kind of staying away from this. Matter of fact, I'd probably take this and move it a little bit out of the way so they don't get bundled up together. I'll move that over here. I can get rid of my dimensions now. And now I'd probably just use offset to go ahead and finish this up. It looks like every line is 30 feet apart. So offset 30 feet, and I can I can just use offset to kind of finish up my football field. So we're getting close to done here. So there's the football field. You guys can go ahead and design it up, and put things on the 50-yard line in the end zones and things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to scale this thing down. So I'm going to go ahead and by the way, if you want to do any other dimensions, feel free to do that. You'll be able to see them very easily once you've changed your dimension style. So every one of these should be 30 feet apart. That should be 160 feet wide and 360 feet long. So there's your dimensions if you want to check them out. But now I'm going to go ahead and scale this thing down. So I'm going to go ahead and click on scale. I'll use this as my base point. Actually, I'll use this as my base point up here. And my scale factor will be 1 divided by 480. Remember, I want to make it 480 times smaller. And that comes from it being 1 inch equals 40 feet, which is the same thing as 1 inch equals 480 inches. So my scale factor is going to be 1 over 480, and you'll watch this get much, much smaller. There's my football field. The only problem is now if you were to dimension it, your dimension style, remember, is 480 times larger. So there's my dimension style right there, which is obviously way too big. So that's okay, we can fix that. We just go back into dimension style, and we go, this time we don't have to do anything with linear dimension. We'll go back into fit and dimension scale, and we'll change the scale factor from 480 back to 1. Click apply, click OK, and now you should easily be able to read that that is 9 inches. So when we scale our football field down, it went from 360 feet to 9 inches. And now I can just move my football field into the center of my title block. And of course, you're going to want to center that and decorate it up and everything else. But now when I go to File, Print, and I click on all my settings, all geometry, 1-to-1 for my settings, landscape, and print center on the paper, it should be centered on the paper, and it should work out perfectly fine now that I've scaled it down. And again, this is just because my printer at home, it doesn't fit, but on the 2605 it fits perfectly. So again, take a look at those print settings right there. This is on 1-to-1, all geometry, landscape, and print on the center of the paper. You may need to watch that one a couple times, but you're going to use the exact same way of doing things when you do the drafting room, which is right after this one. And the key is knowing your scale factor, number 1. So for this one, it was 1 over 480. And the second key is changing your dimension styles here. So first thing we did was change our linear dimension. We changed this to architectural. And then we went to fit, and we were changing our scale, our dimension scale factor. So make sure you understand those couple things. Again, feel free to watch this video a number of times, but that should help you out.